folks, I had a question on Flickr from one of my longtime contacts there who's going to be teaching a photography class this summer, asking about how I make my motion focused, I guess would be a good explanation, pinholes. I call them my Pathways series. And to show you what I mean, I will put a few from my latest roll of film right here so you can see. And these are from the Marin Headlands where I went last Friday. So the question I think is, how do I get those kinds of images? And the simple, straightforward answer is that most of the time I'm using my my Zero. I open the shutter and I walk with the camera, and then I close the shutter. It's really as simple as that. There's nothing more to it. Now the reason why my images turn out the way they do is because of whatever intuitive sense or what comes to me through based on my experience. You know, that's why my pictures are my pictures. So anybody who wants to try those, I suggest just experiment. And like I say, it's open the shutter, 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi, close the shutter. The things to be aware of, and I'll just get a little bit technical here, is that when I use my Zero, when I'm going to be shooting outside, almost regardless of what the conditions are, whether it's sunny or cloudy, I will use 100 speed film in the camera, either with black and white or color film. Black and white will have a tendency on the outside, when it's a sunny day, you have a lot more, you'll end up with a lot more contrast. Color is a little bit more forgiving in that regard, at least based on my experience. So if it's a really sunny day out and I want to make one of those motion pinholes, I'll count to about 3. And usually not more than that. And that is if everything that is in your frame, your surroundings are all in the sunshine. If you are in, let's say, a wooded situation, I've done a lot of those Pathways images in wooded areas, you know, then you're talking about maybe more like a 5 to 10 second exposure, depending on how much light is filtering through. And also if you are in a wooded situation, or if you were in a real kind of varied situation between light and dark, as long as you're moving through the light and dark equally, it's probably will work okay. But if you're walking through an area that's darkish and then you're in like a really bright spot, for you to pick up any of the details in the dark area, you may be blowing out your light area. So I try to be in situations that have consistent lighting when I'm doing those motion kind of pictures. I try not to have to go from a really dark area to a really bright area. And that, I guess that's kind of common sense. You can do these indoors as well. I've done them indoors in big buildings. I think I walked through Grand Central Station in New York on our New York trip, although that one mostly came out with the lights. You didn't really see other stuff around you. But you know, if you're in an indoor situation, you may be talking upwards of 20 seconds depending on how much light there is, or you know, you bump up the speed of your film to 400 or something like that. Another way that you can get the sense of motion in your pinholes without doing a lot of walking is if you want something to be the focal point of your image, let's say a tree or a building or even somebody standing there, you know, you'll open your shutter, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, move it on 3. You know, basically you need to experiment. And I mean, nobody told me how to do this. I had seen, and I'm certainly not the only person who does this. There's a lot of other photographers who use this same method. But I never saw it explained, and probably because it's kind of an intuitive thing. You know, you want motion blur, you move the camera, or you move the object in the you know, the subject. But to get a sense of what your camera acts like in specific situations, it's just a matter of experimenting a lot and wasting some film, probably. If you're using digital pinhole, then you know, you don't have to worry about it. You can experiment as much as you want. However, I really haven't seen yet any digital pinholes that give the same quality of light that I've seen on film. But that's just me. Maybe I haven't seen that many. But I still feel that there's a different quality to film pinholes than there are to digital pinholes. You know, I think digital pinholes are fun, and they're really great for getting a sense of how you work with pinhole. But there's still a difference in the quality, and I can't exactly pinpoint it because pinholes can be blurry by their very nature because of the long exposures and kind of a soft focus, although they can be very sharp too. But there is a level of detail even in the blurriness that I almost always see with film, and I have yet to see with digital. But that's just me because film is my muse. So I hope that answers the question of how I do my motion-focused pinholes, my pathway pinholes. I'll just call them my pathway pinholes because that's what I think of this series. I hope that answers the question, and if you have any more questions, let me know. Alrighty, take it easy.